The time of the Dark One is approaching. The November coming fire, the festival of Samhain or Samhain, or whichever way you prefer to pronounce it. The 31st of October, a time considered satanic by those of the Christian persuasion, and by many adults, to get drunk dressed as your favorite character. Of course, also an excuse for internet personalities to make Halloween videos. Yeah, the Halloween special, which I've done technically once, maybe, like 6 years ago. Time to do another one? This year, I think I really ought to do a classic. A real fan favorite, a real genre favorite. One that has really tested the sands of time and stands as a true testament to the day itself. A Halloween original. A shape of what we think of the 31st. The iconic, classic, John Carpenter original. Fuck yeah, baby. I got my boy Michael Myers sitting right over there, enjoying a nice pumpkin spice beer. Yeah, that's right. Today we're going to cover Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Are you really surprised? I mean, I've covered all the Black Sheep sequels. You know, Nightmare 2, Friday the 13th Part 5. It's not really any stretch of the imagination that I'd be covering the Halloween movie that doesn't have Michael Myers in it. Sorry, dude. This was kind of a weird one. I mean, it was extremely ill-received simply because it was a Halloween sequel that didn't have Michael Myers in it. I mean, of course, when you have an original idea of a Halloween-inspired anthology series for every year, fans piss their pants. Carpenter wanted this even before 2, and still did 2. He wanted every year's Halloween movie to be a new thing, some new story every year, like a Tales from the Crypt sort of thing. This, of course, didn't happen, but Halloween 4 happened, as did 5, 6, 7, 8. A remake, a sequel to the remake, none of which were Carpenter's wishes. I mean, because, you know, why listen to him? Why listen to the creator, right? And he did make Ghosts of Mars and Escape from L.A., but still, it's valid. For whatever reason, by 1981, for whatever reason, Michael Myers already became this big household name. And when Halloween 3 came out in 82, fans were, and some still are fucking livid to this day, that Myers isn't in Halloween 3. So, hey, look, there he is. He's in a trailer for the first Halloween within Halloween 3. You happy now, fucker? Now, rather than do a basic review of Season of the Witch, I would rather talk about it as an experience. Sort of my first memories with it, how it came to grow on me, much like Friday the 13th Part 5 and Nightmare on Elm Street 2 did. And I think the best way to do this is to not only give you my thoughts on it, but to also have a guest. And I think that's our first one now. It's our guest trick-or-treater, if you will, in the middle of December. Why, it's Josh Hadley of 1201beyond.com. What treat might he have for us in regards to Halloween 3, Season of the Witch? This is fucking terrible.
Halloween 3 is one of those movies that got completely shit on when it first came out, and then now is a certifiable classic. I mean, think about it. It kills children. It really breaks from what you think a Halloween movie would be. And I don't just mean like the Halloween franchise. A Halloween movie itself would be. It's a weird mix of science fiction, and even though I know Nigel Neal was not happy with what happened to it, you can see him all over this. You've got Conal Cochran, who, let's face it, he's right. Kids are little bastards, and the meaning of Halloween has been lost, and they need to be awash in blood. I'm on Conal Cochran's side on this, so I'm great with Halloween 3. It's an underrated movie. Okay, the ending's a little, that's not how television works. You can't just call up a TV station and demand they take programming off, and then they do it, but fine, it works for this movie. Tom Atkins is great, Stacey Nelkin is great, and she made this movie right after not getting the role of Pris in Blade Runner, and she proves why she should have gotten the role of Pris in Blade Runner. It's a violent movie, it's a fun movie, it's such a great, the introduction, that the intro music and that intro sequence is so good. It's Halloween for the computer age. Sure, it's the 1983 computers take up an entire warehouse computer age, but it's still Halloween for the computer age. And think about this. What if Connell Cochran is actually a descendant of Zephram Cochrane, and he got some of his ideas to create warp drive from Stonehenge and the events of this. Yeah, sure, the androids didn't quite work out and all that. What if these Cochrans are related? Yes, I know their names are spelled differently, but don't fuck with me on this. Just go with it. Zephram Cochrane and Connell Cochran are related. Happy Halloween, Peter.
All very interesting points. Josh certainly has given us a treat, and he's right. As I said earlier, Halloween 3 very early on was vilified, but thankfully is becoming more of a cult classic as the years progress. And I think that's great. And it sure is a weird film. It's very out there for a film that's basis is Halloween. It goes so much deeper than spooky things, pumpkins, and costumes. You've got androids. You've got a mask company called Silver Shamrock, run by the old guy from RoboCop that wants to kill all the children of the world through a broadcast that triggers something in their mask to turn kids' heads into fucking maggots and bugs and shit and snakes. Our protagonist is a doctor played by Tom Atkins. He's a family man, which means he shacks up with a younger girl while investigating Silver Shamrock because, hey, why not? He's Tom Atkins. It's the mustache. It's got to be the mustache. Though that chick turns out to be an android herself that tries to kill him later on, though maybe she was replaced, because she does go missing for a portion of the film, so there's always the idea that she was killed and then duplicated. That or she was the Terminator this whole time. Halloween 3 features John Carpenter regulars like Nancy Keys and of course Tom Atkins, but I do feel like the real show stealer here is Dan O'Hurley as Connell Cochran. Dude's just so great at playing what seems like this gentle, kindly old man, but then he can turn up the sinister out of nowhere and just be really fucking evil and shit. It's great.
Halloween. The festival of Samhain. The last great one took place 3,000 years ago, and the hills ran red with the blood of animals and children. Sacrifices are part of our world.
That's some scary shit. Speaking of scary, it's our next trick-or-treater. Who could it be? Why, it's Jesse Wood of Endless Jest, the YouTube channel, and My Japanese Animes. Might he have a trick or perhaps a treat in store for us tonight?
I can remember with vivid clarity the first thing that ever really traumatized me in a movie. It was in the Peter Jackson film Dead Alive, or Brain Dead as it's called everywhere else, a slapstick horror comedy with over-the-top gore. It's a brilliant movie, and even though I saw it at a very young age, it wasn't the gore or the zombies that scared me. It was that fucking monkey. The Sumatran rat monkey that starts the zombie infection is this hideous claymation abomination said to be the spawn of an unholy union of slave ship rats raping tree monkeys. Just the design alone is a masterpiece of ugliness. This thing belongs in hell. It's not just a rat mixed with a monkey. It looks like the worst rat mixed with the worst monkey. On top of that, the way it's animated in stop motion like an old Sinbad flick is so jarring compared to the live-action setting. It moves in this choppy way that doesn't quite belong in this world, which I'm sure was intentional. I used to love those old Harryhausen movies. Sinbad would fight skeletons and cyclopses without breaking a sweat, but I know even Sinbad would have shit himself if he had to meet this unholy fuck machine. Oh my god, I fucking hated it. The sounds it makes, the way it moves, its teeth and its fingers and its face, the way it just rips into flesh. Ugh. This little fucker traumatized me. I was terrified of getting bit and having those guys cut my arms off yelling Singaya, Singaya. The image that always stuck out to me the most was him reaching his long, spindly fingers through the zoo cage. I knew those fingers would wrap around my arm one night and turn me into a zombo. My bedroom used to be across the hall from this long, dark, walk-in storage space with no door, and I knew the rat monkey was in there. I laid in bed every night thinking, this is it. This is gonna be the night when the rat monkey crawls out of the darkness and sinks its teeth into my innocent boy flesh. Anyway, that's Dead Alive. Watching it back as an adult, it's one of my favorite movies, and the monkey does kinda look ridiculous to me now. I don't know why the hell I was so afraid of it, but when I was a kid, that fucker haunted my nightmares for years. And if I ever see the Sumatran rat monkey in real life, I'm definitely gonna poop my pants.
Perhaps we should all be wary of the Sumatran rat monkey tonight. It is the unholiest of nights, after all. You can never be too careful. You never know what may have followed you home from work or from school, what could have snuck its way into your home while you were sleeping. That scurrying you heard up in the ceiling? You don't know what that might have been. Is it a rat? Or is it in fact the demonic rat monkey from hell brought to us by Peter Jackson? That, or maybe it was the fucking scary-ass pool monster from Are You Afraid of the Dark in the 90s. That thing gave me PTSD. Anyways, I didn't always love Halloween 3 the way I do now. In fact, I used to hate it. Much like Friday the 13th Part 5 and Nightmare on Elm Street 2, I had preconceived notions that it was going to be a piece of shit because it didn't feature Michael Myers. Much like Friday 5 had a copycat killer and Nightmare 2 was kind of weird. But over time, you learn to quit being a stuck-up fucking elitist fuckhead and check out things for yourself. The type of horror fan you are in your earlier teens compared to your later 20s is strikingly different. Like, I remember exactly why Halloween 3 didn't appeal to me, and it's because it doesn't feature Michael Myers killing people. And that really is the fucking simplicity of the young adult brain. What? This movie doesn't have a masked killer sticking his knife into people? Pass. And even something like Friday the 13th Part 5 that is ultra gratuitous in its violence, there's still that early teenage shitlord mentality of, what? Is not Jason? Lame. I mean, just think for a second how stupid that actually is. The killer in the first Friday the 13th isn't even Jason. It's his mom. The early teenage mind, or at least most of them, can't connect the dots and see that Friday the 13th Part 5 is actually a really nice nod to the first Friday the 13th, and in my opinion, has the best characterization of Tommy Jarvis compared to any of the other films that feature him past the final chapter. Same goes for Halloween 3. If the dumbass early teenage mind would be able to find the time to remember, or at least research a little bit, that it was always Carpenter's intent to do a differently themed Halloween movie every year, and that he didn't actually want Myers to become this sequel franchise, you might appreciate it a little more when you realize Michael Myers was actually really just meant to be a one-off. Now, I love the first two Halloween films, and even some of the later sequels. I actually consider Halloween 4 to be pretty goddamn underrated. But Halloween 3 has so much that it deserves to be appreciated for. The score alone by Alan Howarth and John Carpenter is awesome! If synth scores and 80s movies is your jam, Halloween 3 is the fucking ultimate. I personally have a holy trinity in Carpenter film scores, and it goes Escape from New York, Christine, and fucking Halloween 3. Now, I'm not a music critic. I'm not even going to attempt to try to describe this shit in a smart way. I just knows what my ears likes, and my ears likes this. So whether you like it, you don't, whatever. The overall tone of the film is fantastic. Really excellent mood, great color, lots of shadow. It really makes me reminisce of reading old Tales from the Crypt comics or something. The scenes in which the children get killed are absolutely savage, too. No punches are pulled here. You see the kids struggling and trying to pull the mask off while their parents go from watching in confusion to screaming in horror at the sight of their child's head decaying before their very eyes, with snakes coming out of their eyes. And grotesque bugs and shit, too. It's awesome. Now, technically, Tommy Lee Wallace directed and wrote Halloween 3. And John Carpenter is more of a producer credit here. But Carpenter is all over this film. He clearly had his hooks into the cinematography, the music, and the story. He is uncredited as one of the writers. Tommy Lee Wallace and Carpenter had a great history together, though. Most people might not know that the pirate ghosts in the fog are played by Tommy and special effects extraordinaire Rob frickin' Bottin. This guy has done effects for films ranging from The Thing, Total Recall, RoboCop, and even to this day, he's done work on Game of Thrones. I feel like that's all that really needs to be said. Hope you guys have had a fantastic Halloween 2.5 months ago. I'm going to continue partying with Michael Myers. Look, dude, would you relax? You know that I love the original movie. You know that I love the sequels with you in them. Come on, let's watch that Star Trek movie where Captain Kirk climbs the mountain. You know you love that one. That one always cheers you up. If you wish to support me monetarily, the email for my PayPal is in the description below. Also, I have merch now. Want a Cine-Masochist t-shirt? How about a hat? 1201beyond.com is the place for you. And while you're there, be sure to catch me on Radiodrome with Josh Hadley and Cecil from Good Bad Flicks. You can also support Perturbator, the groovy motherfucker that created my theme song, and other talented bastards on bloodmusic.com. All can be found in the description below. What are you waiting for? You have everything to lose, and I have everything to gain.
It's all jack-o'-lanterns.
The third commercial, it's still on, please. Take off the third channel, it's still running. Stop it, please, for God's sake, please stop it. There's no more time. You've got to, please, stop it now, turn it off. Turn it off. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.